This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. We're in London today. We've just had the final press conference ahead of the MTK Global Contract Quarterfinals Friday. With me, Adam Smith. Adam, how are you?
Hey Ryan, I'm very well, thank you. Very busy. A lot going on in the boxing world, as you and I know. So yeah, I've literally just got back from LA as well, so slightly jet lagged still. But was ringside for the fantastic BBC fight with Errol, Spence and Shawn Porter. We've got the Golden Contract all starting up on Friday, which we're particularly excited about. And then, of course, the great Gennady Golovkin back in the ring Saturday night. Eddie's out there. He's also trying to find a new opponent for Derek Chisora. So there's a lot going on. But yeah, we're in a great place. I mean, boxing's buzzing. So it's great for the fans that they've got fights almost every week, I think, from now until Christmas. Good watching Daniel Dubois last week as well. Easy win for him, but really looking forward to seeing him crowned Young Boxer of the Year. I think he thoroughly deserves it at the Boxing Writers Awards on Monday. We've got a very busy day on Monday, lots happening. So, it's all good.
Lots going on, which we'll come on to. I'll try not to keep you too long. I just wanted to touch on why we're here first. The Golden Contract Tournament. 8 men competing for life-changing money. I believe it's a 2-year, 5-fight deal, and every fight worth 6 figures plus. Big opportunity for these 8 men, Adam. Yeah,
it's a real opportunity. And when it was first brought to me, I loved it. I love Prize Fighter, actually. I like new tournaments, something to maybe bring in different fans and really engage. Prize Fighter was great because it was sort of all on one night. But, you know, there were 3-minute rounds. It was at times a bit amateurish. It was a bit sort of, crash, bang, wallop. And this time it's longer form fights. And I think it's a really good opportunity for a number of fighters who are sort of around the fringes of British title or British champions themselves, or sort of come back from world title defeats, or new unsung sort of guys from around the world as well to come in. So I like it. I like the tournament. I like the quarterfinal, semi-final thing. 3 different weights. I like the names in it. I like the fact that there's a great life-changing, not just sum of money, as you said, but a chance to really sort of build a career again. I think that's really important. So, when it was brought to me, I went straight to Eddie and I said, look, I think this looks great. He said, it looks great, let's do it. So here we are, and very excited about Friday night. It is, whatever people say about the Staples Centre, which I was just at, or the MGM Grand, or Thomas and Mack, or MSG, or the Manchester Arena, or the O2, or whatever. Wonderful stadiums, wonderful arenas. Wembley, of course, maybe in the Principality, top of the lot. But I love York Hall, Bethnal Green. There is a special, special place. It was the first boxing event I ever did on Sky in 1994 with Francis Ampofa and Darren Fifield at York Hall. I loved going in that night, and I love it every time. So for me, it's a special venue. I just don't ever have a bad night at the York Hall, Bethnal Green, and I think it's a wonderful place. And yeah, I can't wait. It's a great tournament. We're delighted to be part of it, and let's get ringside and get excited. And I hope people really enjoy it on Sky.
Final question on the tournament, Adam. A lot of what we've been talking about to the guys is, how do you prepare for 7 men? You know, these guys don't find out who they're fighting until the week of the fight. How much difficulty does that bring when there's so much on the line as well, and you actually don't know who you're preparing for?
Twists and turns in the boxing world, it's great as well. I remember one of the prize fighters, and there was a reserve who came in on the night, and then I think ended up either winning or got to the final, but I think it was Robert Lloyd Taylor. But we had we always in boxing have different things. You know, fighters can pull out 48 hours before you've got to find a replacement. They've got to be ready for all stars. A lot of these were good amateurs, so they've got to adapt. But yeah, the draw was very interesting because who did they pick? Why did they pick? Did they pick a southpaw, an orthodox? Did they pick a favourite? Did they pick a slightly softer touch? I don't think any of them are really soft touches, actually. I think they're 8 very, very good fighters. And listen, it just adds to the spice. And let's see what happens Friday night. But the 4 will go forward into the semis. And then we have a whole new 2 other weight divisions to concentrate on in November and December. So, we're really excited about the tournament, and we're glad it's part of the Sky schedule.
A few things I'll just whiz through quickly with you, Adam. I appreciate you're a busy man. First thing, the news that broke late last night, Joseph Parker out of his October 26th clash with Derek Chisora. Not the best news. People are now just waiting to see who's going to come in for Derek. Michael Hunter's throwing his name into the hat. Do you know what sort of opponent we can be looking at for Derek?
First of all, very disappointed, and it's so unlike Joseph Parker and his great team. They're a top team, and I believe it's some sort of spider bite or something. It must have been really serious, though, for Joseph Parker to pull out of any fight. He's not going to be able to train. The fight's off. We've got to find another opponent for Derek. Eddie's working 24/7 on trying to find that person. I want someone, as good, if not better. That's going to be hard at this short notice, but they are heavyweights. You know, the names of Alexander Povetkin, of Michael Hunter, of maybe Joe Joyce, someone like that, David Price. It's got to be a really good replacement because it's a box office show. We know Derek wants to be top of the bill. We've got Josh Taylor and Regis Progress as well. Obviously, we've got the great fight between Selby and Burns and Lawrence Okoli and Conor Benn as well. So a great card. We need a great replacement. It's got to be. Eddie Hearn has got to pull a rabbit out of the hat, and I'll be making sure he does.
As mentioned, you've recently been stateside. Errol Spence, Shawn Porter, unbelievable fight. Adam, talk to me about what we saw from Errol Spence.
Yeah, I had a great trip actually. So I went out to see the show, obviously, and catch up with Errol and Shawn Porter, who obviously the UK fans know very well. It was a great fight at ringside. I thought it was one of the best I've seen in a long time. But brilliant atmosphere, thrilling fight, great card actually as well. Also caught up with Deontay Wilder and Logan Paul while I was out there, so it was a really good trip. But yeah, it was a fantastic night, and I hope that the Porter and Spence fight will go down as probably the best fight of this year, but one of the great fights I've been ringside for. It was a pleasure to be there. I wasn't commentating actually, but it was a pleasure just to sit back and watch two guys who wanted it so bad. You know, Spence sort of trading with him, not going about his usual razzle-dazzle and sort of being drawn in by absolutely fired up Porter, as we knew it would be. But both of them showed so much class, so much talent, so much ability, and I thought it had everything, ebbs and flows, and the right guy won as well. So, yeah, I'd love to see a rematch.
I was just going to come on to what's next for Errol Spence. A lot of people were saying they'd love to see the rematch. Other people are saying they want to see Terence Crawford, although that seems incredibly unlikely. It looks like we're going to be getting Danny Garcia next for Errol Spence. If it were up to you, who do you like to see Errol Spence in with next? Is the rematch top of your list that you'd like to see?
I think Errol Spence could fight a lot of different people. I'd love to see the Crawford fight. Never say never in boxing. Everything can be made. Mayweather Pacquiao was done 5 years too late, but it got made. Never say never in boxing. It can be made, that fight. Danny Garcia is meant to be next up. I wouldn't go straight into the rematch, the Spence-Porter fight. I think Danny Garcia makes sense, and then maybe after that, look for Shawn Porter to go again with Spence. They've got to do it again at some point. I think Porter deserves that. I thought he was possibly his best performance of his career. Errol Spence, people are sort of, well, should he have dealt with Shawn Porter easier? No, listen, it was a hard fight against a tough, top world-rated and world champion. Unification fight, let's be honest, with Shawn Porter. No one has an easy night. Ask Kell Brook, ask Adrian Broner, ask all of them. He's a great fighter, Shawn Porter, in his own right. I just think Spence is a little bit special. I think what he showed to me on Saturday night was something different. Not just the skills that I knew he had, but the chin, the heart, and the want to actually go down dirty and get rough at times as well. I like that with Errol Spence. I think he's a real star of the future.
Now let's come on to what we got this weekend. Gennady Golovkin back at the Garden against Derevchenko. What do you make of that fight? What do you think we can expect to see? IBF World Middleweight title on the line. Harder fight for Golovkin than people are giving him credit for?
I think it's a terrific fight. I think it's a really good matchup. I commentated on the Jacobs-Derevchenko fight, which was great. It was nip and tuck all the way. Jacobs and Golovkin was nip and tuck. People thought Jacobs won that. It's another great fight. I mean, there's so many in the super middleweight divisions that are being made. Really looking forward to that. There's the Canelo Kovalev sort of, what happens there in that fight in November. You've got Billy Joe Saunders coming back soon. There's Callum Smith against John Ryder. There's so much going on. Chris Eubank as well, of course. There's so many good fights to be made around that super middleweight mark. Really excited about seeing Gennady Golovkin back on his own. He's one of the most thrilling fighters in the world and has been for the last 5-6 years. Ask Matt Macklin. Matt Macklin shared a ring with him. He'll be calling the fight Saturday night. Can't wait for Golovkin. I think it is a tough fight. It's a hard fight. It's one he should come through, but it's a hard fight, and it's a perfect matchup and a great bill from New York. What a weekend. Let's get on with it. Let's enjoy it.
Final thing before I let you go, Adam. Chaos is rolling into town next week. We've got the KSI Logan Paul 2 press conference coming over to the UK. Have you any idea what to expect after what we saw in the States?
Yeah. More entertainment of sorts. I think my kids are pretty excited about it. That's what I will say. I saw Logan Paul last week. Very sharp, bright guy. And listen, all my kids wanted to ask me was when they were going to meet him and when they could get my little girl, who's 8, has a YouTube channel, and all she wanted was Logan to plug her YouTube channel. So, it's a different world, isn't it? It's entertainment. It's a lot of the hardcore fight fans not happy about it at all, but it's entertainment. There's a massive demographic that want to see this fight, and the press conference is going to be very, very entertaining, very interesting, and I'll be taking a close look at it, maybe from afar.
Right, Adam, I appreciate you got to shoot, so we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, as always, for speaking to Boxers Social.
No worries at all. Cheers.